Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Podcast, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Let's take a look at some stocks on the move today. We are joined by Bloomberg's Kriti Gupta. And Kriti, I see one of the stocks you're watching is U.S. Steel. Is the Nippon Steel deal back on the radar? Good morning.
Good morning, Nathan. It is and it isn't. And that's part of the juiciness of the story. I love this story because we know that the steel industry in the United States has been struggling for a very long time. We also know the U.S. Steel has been such an acquisition target, not just for Nippon Steel over in Japan, leading to kind of the chaos and the ultimate kind of unified front that both Joe Biden and Donald Trump, I don't say this very often, have put together in that a foreign company can't overtake one that has been so core to the skyscrapers and bridges of the United States. That being said, it's also been an acquisition target from an American company called Cleveland Cliffs, one that has been trying to get its way back in. Nevertheless, the story this morning is that Nippon Steel is looking to invest in U.S. Steel, but not take over U.S. Steel. Now, the numbers here are important because Nippon Steel had initially offered the takeover bid at about $14 billion. Now they're talking about an investment into U.S. Steel, basically kind of like cash injection of something like $7 billion. So you are seeing about half of that initial promised amount. So the Japanese steel maker really dropped in Japanese trading, but U.S. Steel is surging this morning. The ticker is just the letter X, trading at $45 and change, higher by about 5.5% this morning. So investors are liking that the struggling steel maker is ultimately going to get perhaps a little bit of a lifeline. So good news there for those U.S. Steel bulls. Let's talk a little bit about the tariff conversation, if you haven't enough already, because this is one that's going to impact everyone around the world. I'm going to start with some of the tech names because that is where you are seeing quite a bit of movement, because one of the countdowns to Liberation Day, as Donald Trump has put it, is regulation on some of the tech companies and how you actually quantify that. So Apple and Meta are very much in focus for that. They're also expected to get fines from the EU Commission as early as next week. So AAPL down about 0.7% for Apple, trading at about $222 a share, and Meta is down about 0.3% as well. So seeing some pain in the tech names as well. And while I'm with the EU story, let's talk about Eli Lilly, for example. It is flat at the moment. LLY is your ticker, trading about $826 a share. But we should mention there's a headline crossing the terminal that they are failing to get EU approval for their early Alzheimer's drug. So that's another place where the regulation story out of Europe really, really matters. Let me wrap it up here, Nathan, with Lululemon. LULU is your ticker. Whopping 13% decline this morning in the pre-market. $297 a share is where it's trading. Their outlook certainly freaking everybody out. They have a big release that their U.S. sales or consumer spending just isn't working in their favor. I should also mention they are headquartered in Canada. So if you are worried about reciprocal tariffs with Canada, this is a company you want to keep an eye on, in addition to any worries around kind of consumer spend there as well. LU is your ticker, Nathan.
The Stock Movers Podcast from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.